All right, Alexander, we have some more news on Ghislaine Maxwell. Let me read you a title from Zero Hedge here. Ghislaine Maxwell hamstrung by her own 2016 testimony, while ex-friend claims she hired provocateur Jacob Wall to smear accusers. This is an interesting two-part story. So let's tackle the first part real quick, Alexander, which is hamstrung by her own 2016 testimony. What does that mean?
Well, it means that Ghislaine Maxwell's attempts to try to pretend that she was in fact not really involved, that she was, to the extent that anything happened, she was being manipulated or bullied into it by Epstein. I'm afraid that is disintegrating because of the way in which the kind of things that she admitted to doing in that testimony in 2016, and by the fact that she tried to smear the witnesses. And that doesn't suggest in any way somebody who was an innocent or a party or any sort of victim. So already we see exactly what we said in our previous videos, that her defense, the defense that she's trying to run now, is really not sustainable and is, I am sure, going to be abandoned very quickly, because already contradictions between what she's saying now and what she has said previously are coming out, and we'll be seeing much more of this coming out soon. So I come back to what I've said many times. I don't, give advice usually on a program like, on programs like this, but I will repeat again, in her own interests, she needs to come forward, tell the truth, admit to everything, and to name the other people who were involved, because anything she says now in order to exculpate herself is going to be contradicted by the admissions that she made previously. These admissions involve various things, I should say quickly, which she did on Epstein's behalf. She was heavily involved by her admissions in various activities on Epstein's behalf whilst they were together.
Yeah, from Bloomberg, real quick, the quote from Maxwell is this from her deposition: "My job included hiring many people, including cooks, gardeners, pilots, assistants, and cleaners for his 6 homes. A very small part of my job was from time to find adult professional massage therapists for Jeffrey." Listen to the way she worded that. Adult professional massage therapists for Jeffrey. That's from Bloomberg.
Well, there you go. I mean, as I said, already that brings it. I mean, as you correctly said, the wording is so careful that in itself, it basically exposes her. I mean, who normally talks like that? I mean, who would normally say that? I mean, they would say, I wasn't involved in any kind of things like this. This isn't the kind of thing I would ever do. And I mean, it's outrageous, but instead she comes up with these very precise definitions of the people she found. And I'm afraid those words, in my opinion, damn her, because we know the kind of masseurs that Epstein really wanted. He didn't want adult professional masseurs at all. He didn't really want masseurs as such. He wanted other things.
Yeah. Damning. That's a damning statement. So the second part, the second part of this story deals with the provocateurs who were supposedly, allegedly hired by Ghislaine to smear accusers. A former, and I'm reading to you from Zero Hedge as well, and they're citing the Daily Mail, who's running with this story. So the Daily Mail is running with this story. A former friend of Maxwell has told the Daily Mail that the British socialite hired ham-handed provocateurs Jacob Wall and Jack Berkman to smear alleged Epstein victims and to try and use DC connections, and this is the important part, DC connections to get Attorney General William Barr to fire New York U.S. Attorney Jeffrey Berman, fired in order to stall or stop the criminal investigation into Maxwell. Now, Alexander, on a side note, there are some media publications running with stories that are saying Michael Cohen is suing Barr. Michael Cohen has sued Barr because he says that Barr put him in jail to silence him on a tell-all book about Trump's problem with underage girls and his connections with Epstein. This is what some media outlets are running with, and this is what Cohen is alleging in his suit of his suit against Barr. But we've documented in our videos with conclusive evidence, and you'll run through that Trump distanced himself from Epstein a long time ago. We have video evidence of that, as well as the actions he took at Mar-a-Lago. We also have testimony from Virginia Giuffre, who at many times stated on record that Trump has no connection to Epstein and always treated her with respect. And he's not one of the people who she cites in her lawsuits that she has filed with regard to the entire Epstein cabal. And Alexander, the interesting part of the story goes with how we have described the firing of Berman. And I think we've done a very good job in connecting the dots and pointing out that the firing of Berman actually opened up the path for the FBI and the DOJ to get Ghislaine and eventually press forward with this trial. What do you make of everything I've said? Tie everything together, Alexander, with the story, because I really sense that the mainstream media, they're trying to murky up the waters here. That's the vibe that I'm getting.
Well, you're absolutely right, because this is a transparent attempt. This is transparent disinformation. It's an attempt to turn the Epstein scandal on its head, to make it, instead of a scandal which implicates Democrats, which, let me make it very clear, all the facts that we have, I'm talking about facts now, make it clear that that's what it is. To turn it round, and to turn it round against Donald Trump. Let's take it step by step. Michael Cohen is a compulsive liar, a crook, a fraudster, one of the most dishonest individuals I've read about. If you don't believe me, read the indictment that the Southern District of New York, when it was, by the way, led by Jeffrey Berman, brought out against him. It makes it crystal clear that Cohen's claim that he was intimate with Trump and that he was, Trump's only or principal lawyer is completely untrue. And it shows how Cohen, this is in the indictment, by the way, how Cohen was trying to use his, frankly, fairly minor connection to Trump to make himself out to be a far more important person than he really was, and to leverage a job in the Trump administration, which Donald Trump refused outright to give him. So anything that Michael Cohen says should not be believed. And of course, as we saw during the Russiagate investigation, Michael Cohen is absolutely happy to say anything that will hurt his former client in order to get on the right side of the Democrats and to stay out of prison. So let's be very clear about what his agenda is, and the fact that he's fully prepared to work with the Democrats to advance that agenda. That is him. Now, as for Donald Trump himself, we have a large body of evidence now. We have Trump on videotape talking in 2015 about Epstein and calling his island a cesspit, and talking about Prince Andrew. This is in 2015, mind, and talking about the Clintons. We have evidence, clear evidence, that Trump threw Epstein out of his club in Mar-a-Lago when he found Epstein trying to recruit underage or young girls. I don't know if they were underage, young girls there, and Trump would have none of that. And we have the evidence of the witnesses themselves, the key witnesses upon whom this entire case is based, who are coming round and saying that Trump was not involved. So Trump is not involved. Let us be absolutely clear about this. Whatever you may think of Donald Trump, this is not a scandal about him. Other people possibly. Other people definitely, but not about Donald Trump. No way is it about Donald Trump. And as for this attempt to try and make out that, Ghislaine, was manipulating events to try to get rid of Jeff Berman, who was supposedly the person who was really after her. Well, first things to say, that doesn't work. That can't work, since it's directly after Jeff Berman was sacked that she got arrested. And we've seen this investigation pick up steam. What it is clearly, again, is an attempt to try to make it out that it's the Trump people who are trying to block this investigation because in some way it implicates him, when in fact all the evidence says the exact opposite. All the evidence that Trump was not involved in any of Epstein's misdeeds, in fact that he was horrified by them, and the evidence that, as I said, it was the moment that Berman got sacked that the investigation seemed to suddenly gain life. So this looks to me like a disinformation exercise, just as you said, in order to turn this whole scandal back on Donald Trump, and we should not fall for it.
Yeah, the fact that we're seeing this disinformation exercise starting to pick up steam means that the DOJ and the FBI, and I really hope this is true what I'm about to say, they're getting close.
Yes.
To real targets.
I
really hope
what
I'm saying comes true, because I'm very skeptical, and I have been very skeptical. But the fact that we're seeing this disinformation means that they are pressing ahead and they're getting close.
I agree with that. I completely agree with that. I would add the fact that they're turning to characters like Michael Cohen and spreading stories, about, people being used to, about Berman and all that. That suggests they're getting pretty desperate also. I mean, this is, Michael, using Michael Cohen in particular. I mean, you read what the Southern District of New York said about him. I mean, you wouldn't touch that man with a barge pole. Certainly not try and turn him around and use him against Donald Trump. So yes, I agree. I think it's a strong sign that the investigation is closing in on Epstein's co-conspirators. And it seems to me also that those same co-conspirators are pulling every string that they have and are at the same time increasingly worried and desperate.
Yeah, I would also maybe say a word of caution that as we approach the election, see a lot more disinformation campaigns like this.
You're absolutely right. It's going to escalate. It's going to explode. We're going to see all kinds of extraordinary stories, and But we need to keep a cool head and a clear sight and work through it all. And of course, that's what our job is at the Duran.
And remember the lessons of Russiagate.
Remember the lessons of Russiagate. Exactly. Always drill through and analyze what people say, and never take it as true, especially when it comes from anonymous sources, as this story in the Daily Mail has done.
Yeah, the Daily Mail. UK publication, huh?
Oh, absolutely. But can I just say, this is also true in Russiagate, that a lot of the early stories about Russiagate, especially, were originally floated in the British media, and then they would be brought back and imported back into the US and spread there. Because, of course, the British media is a very easy device to do that, because it's one step away. So, there isn't the immediate response from the administration. And at the same time, because it's English language, it quickly passes back into the US. So be very wary of what you read, and don't assume that because it appears first in England, it is true. It certainly isn't.
Very interesting how they launder the stories out between the UK and the US. Really interesting.
Absolutely. Well, that was what the Steele dossier was all about. I mean, if you remember, that was how that all started, and this is the same trick being played all over again.
Very sinister. All right, we'll leave it there. Alexander Mercouris, thank you very much. Guys, if you like this video, click on that like button. Please subscribe to our channel. Also, check us out on PayPal, Patreon, and Subscribestar. You'll find links to those platforms underneath this video. So please send us $1 or $2. Every dollar, every euro, every ruble, every drachma We don't have drachmas anymore.
We don't have
or
drachmas.
Deutschmarks or francs or anything like that. But send us any type of currency you like. It really helps us out a lot. And go to the Duran shop, pick up some magic mugs and some of our new merchandise. I've got the magic mug of Serbia here. I've actually got the U.S. I've got the U.S., Greece, and the UK. But today I'm drinking from my Serbia mug.
Indeed, I have here with me the UK and the US, who are of course both part of this story, because the US is where Epstein worked, but of course there's this huge British connection. Ghislaine is British, and of course we've just been talking about a story in the British media. But aren't they just amazingly beautiful, these mugs with these flags? Can I also say we welcome suggestions from viewers for any new flags, and if you go onto our shop, you will find that we now have enameled mugs also. So they were always the best mugs in the world, as I have always said, and they're now got better. And you won't just find mugs on our shop and enameled mugs, but you also find a wonderful expanding range of shirts. And you will, like, you can see an example because Alex is wearing one now. And you will also find other things like, the usual things that we have, hats, hoodies, stickers, and an expanding gallery of ebooks. All of these great things in our shop. They're always there. And as Alex says, we need your support, and we are grateful to you for it. It's what keeps us going. It's what makes us work so long and so hard to bring us this analysis and news in our channel.
All right, and just a quick heads up, we put Denmark mugs and shirts. We got Scotland up. We have Austria coming up in the next couple days. We have Germany coming up. We have Ireland coming up, Italy and Syria. And just send us the country and we'll get it on our magic mugs, on our shirts, on our polos, on our enamel mugs, on our hats. They look great. All right, Alexander Mercouris, thank you very much. Until next time, everybody, take care.